mean, you don't break into a federal vault very easily. Number one, they lent it to the United States and don't want to tell anybody, and the U.S. sold it into the market, and they probably got dollars for it. Or number two, one of their banks was short gold, got it stuffed, and they had to bail one of their banks out. So it's either or. But the gold's gone. And so you can put down a zero for Canada.
Well, the point here is that right now we're talking about the possibility that there are somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 tons of gold that are on the books, right? These are accounting entries someplace, and the current price of gold is to some degree set, assuming that those 2,500 to 3,000 tons of gold really exist. If it turns out they're gone, it means that the supply of gold in the world is 2,500 to 3,000 tons less than we had thought yesterday. And if that information comes out, all that means the price of gold has to jump dramatically at that point in time. You find out that those of you who have gold, you're going to say, well, golly, this is good for us. Those who have gold are going to be in good condition, and those who relied on these numbers are going to be wishing they hadn't.
It's just like one of the two Toll brothers, builders of homes. One of the stocks was short that we've made piles of money on. One of the owners said, look, it's not our fault. Government kept on giving us figures, and they turned out to be bogus. They were wrong. I mean, we did the right thing, and we're wrong, and it's not fair. And the guy's right. And how many businesses listen to the Bureau of Latest Statistics, or the Commerce Department, the Labor Department's statistics, which are all lies? How many of those companies went under, or lost money, or in terrible shape? Because our government lied to them. It's just like the banks, insurance companies, automobile companies, brokerage firms who received funds from the government. They're all being subsidized. How is Ford going to compete with government motors when they have endless supplies of money? How is the remainder of the insurance industry going to compete with the 7 companies that just received $1 or $2 or $3 billion? How are other brokerage firms going to compete against the likes of J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup in the marketplace? They can't. They're all going to go sooner or later down because our government is competing against them. What kind of madness is this? This is socialism.
It may be worse than socialism. I look at it and I may be exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating intentionally, but I think what you're looking at is treason. I think these people in serious positions of power, I think they're intending to bring this country down. This isn't an accident. This isn't, gee, we made an oversight, or golly, we're doing the best we can. This is being done by intent. They intend to reduce this country to something like a third world nation. It may not go quite that far, but I don't just see socialism, I see treason.
Well, I agree with you in part. And I think that these people who were arrogant 3 weeks ago at the Bilderberg meeting, the number one item was, we've lost control. They're afraid of losing control. And they better be afraid, because we're not going to be able to hold the mob back once the mob finds out who did this to them and why. And it's going to be just like the French Revolution, where they decapitated 300,000 people. Only in America, it'll probably be 3 to 5 million people. They're not going to put them in jail. They're going to rip them to death.
It's not encouraging. It's not the sort of thing that anybody wants to see or live through. But you also sit there and you can see a certain inevitability to it. When you rob everyone and you put them in a position where they can't eat and they can't feed their children and their society is crumbling so a relative handful can have wealth and power, okay? If they finally get angry, if the peasants essentially pull out their pitchforks and their torches and march on the castle, it's going to be a bloody time for royalty. They're going to have a hard time holding it together.
Well,
I've got one.
In France, what they did, they wiped out whole families. And it's going to happen in America, and their wealth will be taken by the state. And if they don't stop, it is going to happen because they cannot win. It is impossible for them to win. And the reason why is because of the Internet and because of stations and programs like this. This program's going all over the world. Ireland, Australia, Malaysia, South Africa, everybody's picking it up. I know, I get letters every day. We just had one today from Ireland, yesterday, day before yesterday, from Australia, and so on. We're not alone out there. There's a lot of people who are going to get ripped and torn in different countries. The public's not going to let them get away with it.
Well, it's going to be a difficult and dangerous time, but there is a part of me, I'll say, I can't help but kind of cheer. It's not as if I expect to enjoy the crash. I expect it'll be difficult for everyone, myself included. But to see some semblance of rough justice after decades, if not generations, of institutionalized theft, prospect of seeing some sort of justice, I guarantee it puts a smile on my face.
Well, it's nice to know you've been right, no matter what the consequences are. And there's lots of people who we saved a lot of pain, and a lot of them will survive because they listen to us. And at least we have that positive point to it. And but we can't avoid
I'm going to have to cut you off
the obvious collusion.
Well, we're out of time right now, folks. I'm Alfred Addis. This is Financial Survival. I want to thank Bob Chapman for his time and comments. I will be back with Bob on Friday. Please tune in then. Thanks, folks. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.